along for the ride with us. If you've not seen the show before, it's pretty different to every other football show on TV. It's a football debate show, but it's all about stories, it's about opinions, it's about your interactions. So if you want to join in the conversation with my three guests this evening, then all you need to do is use the hashtag PLTonight. Steve McManaman is... What are you laughing at already?
Just thrilled to be here for the next hour. Thrilled to bits.
Are you though?
Of course I am.
Where are your family?
Family in Spain.
And where are you going straight after this?
Going home.
It's back to Spain.
No, I'm actually going home.
Because you can't get a flight out.
You can't get a flight off.
You'll be back in the morning. Martin's here, who's been a superstar of Premier League tonight the last couple of seasons, and Mick makes his debut. How would you describe the show to Mick, Martin?
Very good show, actually. Lots of debate, lots of honesty. We can even talk about some of the stuff we talked about earlier on, hopefully. I thought Nuno, the manager there, I would have gone into him a little bit and said, why didn't you change it? You should have made some change. You should have made some change.
You had the opportunity to ask him and you bottled it.
Why didn't you?
No, you didn't ask him.
No, I just felt it wasn't necessarily the right time because he said he hasn't even
So when is the right time? Tomorrow afternoon?
He said he wants to assess it. He wants to assess it overnight and I'll answer those questions tomorrow. So, well, OK.
Can we do the show tomorrow then and ask him then?
Unbelievable, really. I thought he should have had the answers. He should have changed.
He would have had the answers if you'd asked the question.
I know it's a big day, Wolves' first day of the Premier League, but if you'd been a bit more ambitious at half-time...
You and I had the discussion, though, and I said, I could have gone and asked him, do you think you should have changed it? But I know he played that system all the way through, whether they had 10 men or whatever it was, and they were brilliant at it. And I think he's probably relieved then to get away with that. And I wouldn't be that arrogant to sit here as a manager who's out of work and lost my job and he's just won the championship and said, do you think you should have changed it when he's quite a capable
Well, that's
manager.
why I didn't ask him.
Right, we're moving on. John Ruddy is also going to come and join us in the studio. Let's have a look at the headlines. It's begun already. Let's have a look at the headlines from today. Spurs sneak a win. They just about got through against Newcastle today. 2-1 victors for them today. Across the rest of the Premier League, there was also a victory for Roy Hodgson. Back to Fulham, a 2-0 win for his side. So he'll be pleased with the way that Crystal Palace have started the new season, and Sarri's superstar. So many questions about Chelsea this season, but that man gets off to the start that he would have wanted. Right, let's get the show going then, and we're going to start by hearing from a Tottenham fan. This is Sid.
3 points away to Newcastle on the opening day of the season. I think that's a job well done from Spurs and Pochettino. First off, we played quite well. Second off, obviously, we started to defend a 2-1 lead. Too many lazy passes, too many needless tackles and silly tackles that we shouldn't be doing. But at the end of the day, we're all coming back from the World Cup. The players probably are a bit fatigued, but 3 points is 3 points. Now, setting a record for the transfer market, being the first team ever not to buy anyone in the transfer market after being linked with so many players. Pochettino will be probably frustrated. Spurs fans, a lot of them are frustrated, but Pochettino's got faith in his squad. Question for you, Mick, though. How frustrated would you be if you was Pochettino?
Well, if I was Pochettino, I'd be frustrated. But in my transfer windows, I've had loads of occasions when I've not bought anybody, so I kind of know how he feels. But I don't know. I think they've got a good team. I think you're all getting stressed up too much about the fact they haven't signed anybody. They've got a good team as it is, and they're building a new stadium. Some stage they have to stop spending, and they've got this project that they're building. So trust the team that you've got. I still think you'll be in the top four with the players you have.
So do I.
You think so? Still top four for Spurs, even without spending? You can see why Spurs fans are just thinking,
yeah, but they
go for it.
I understand the frustration where everybody's spending money and they want the ability to bring in a player. But firstly, they have to bring in a player who's much better than what they've got, who's much better than what they've got on the substitutes bench. If you look at their squad on a sheet of paper, who they've got that Pochettino can call on, it is very, very strong and very deep, that squad. When you looked at the substitutes bench today, I thought it was excellent, the quality.
They kept their own players as well, so
they give Harry Kane a brand new contract, they give Dele Alli a brand new contract. So, you know, it's pointless going out and spending 60, 70 million pound on a player that, you know, mightn't improve the squad. They have to improve the 11, let alone the squad. It's pointless bringing in an 18th man and a 19th man just to bulk it up.
How hard is it to bring players in?
Well, we've seen, haven't we? I mean... And the talk here was that Richarlison's 40 million, he's overpriced and he scored the 2 goals today, and suddenly everybody going, oh, well, actually, probably wasn't overpriced. The market was nuts. It was completely overpriced. I mean, if you sign one at 15 million now, I think all their fans are going, well, he must be hopeless.
It's overpriced, though. That's the price of footballers now, isn't it? If you were managing in the Premier League, you would be happy to go and spend 40 million quid on Richarlison.
Yes, of course I would, but I still think it's ridiculous, and it's the price is just... Where is it going to stop? Come on, I mean, so you know, Ronaldo goes for 99 million, but I can see that. They've probably sold enough shirts to cover that, and he's the best player in the world. But if you're benchmarking everybody on him, that's wrong, because he's better than everybody else.
I think the most important thing for Tottenham is that they've won today. Yeah. They got Harry Kane back in the team. It's been really difficult for the team watching how they manage these players back into the teams, isn't it? Everyone's been coming back very late, but still making it into the team to play in a lot of the first teams.
Sorry, mate. They said if I was Pochettino, how would I feel? I'd be feeling, what a great squad of players I've got.
Yeah, of course.
I might have liked to have signed
his biggest challenge was to keep those players, wasn't it?
Hell, look at this lot coming back. I've got a great squad. I've got a great team.
But don't you look at Liverpool and the money that they've spent and just think, right, if we're going to carry on competing with them, if we're going to have a challenge for the top four, you can't stop investing in football in the modern age.
Steve just made the point. Are they better than the ones that they've got? If you can improve the 11 that's going on the pitch, then yes. If you can't, just to bolster the squad, there's no real point. And I'll go back to my other point. They're moving into this new stadium that's costing, I don't know,
850
in the billions.
A billion. So
you've got to do what's right for your football club. And I think Tottenham is a good. I mean, you look at it. They've got one game at Wembley, which is Fulham. Their first game back at the new stadium is Liverpool. Who else do you want to play in your first stadium in Momentum if they get it built in time?
Fans will be saying, we're not bothered about a new stadium until they've got it and they're in it and it's full, and then all of a sudden they're progressing because it's full every. So, they've got this project that's going on, let them do it, and I wouldn't be screaming too much because they've got a terrific set of players.
I'm keen to get the thoughts from all three of you on the early closure of the transfer window, closing it before the season starts. What do you think?
Well, it's madness.
I personally am fine with it. I really am.
Yeah, but it puts us behind the other clubs, doesn't it, for the Champions League?
It shouldn't do, because you should do your business from the end of season till now. We all moaned about it last year when Oxlade-Chamberlain played for Arsenal, and a week later he was playing for Liverpool against them when Arsenal played Liverpool. So it needed to be brought in. We voted for it. It was a problem because the fact that it went to a vote, people were talking about it and it was an issue. The thing is now is that the teams need to be strong. If somebody comes in and wants to take one of your better players now, you just say no. And you just have a little bit of bottle about yourselves and show that they're not to be pushed around.
The big issue, Steve, was the Premier League clubs coming in for other Premier League players. So if they had just stopped it for Premier League clubs to poach Premier League players, and they could still deal in Europe with the Premier League, that would have been better in my view.
Yeah.
As a manager, I was at Ipswich at the time, and I voted for it to be there, to end on the 9th of August, because then, as a Championship manager, I had then 3 weeks when Premier League teams have got all their players sorted out, they've got the squads, and then they've got 3 weeks to loan players to teams like us.
Yes, exactly.
And so I thought that was a really good idea. If it had been a Premier League, I probably wouldn't have voted for it.
But you think about then the Champions League, so you have all these teams in Europe now, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, they can compete for players that the Premier League can't go after. So how is that a fair competition to actually win the Champions League? I know that only affects the top four, but nonetheless, we should have made it a competitive for them.
It's a good point.
Yeah, but I just think you do your business early on, you get it done. We know we've got a 9th of August deadline, you get your business done.
Yeah, but Bayern Munich now know that the English clubs are not in for a top player.
For whom? No, what players?
Well, whatever players are available, the English market can't buy, and they've got the most money. The English clubs are the wealthiest.
As far as I'm concerned, there's no players left. I mean, who?
There's going to be a lot of business between now and then.
Between themselves, probably. But I wouldn't think that there's English teams out there thinking, oh my God, I wish we'd have gone and got Pulisic from Dortmund. You would have got him a while ago.
It's losing somebody.
Yeah, well, that's all it is. It's losing Hazard now, but you just don't lose him.
Losing somebody in the next 3 weeks and then not having the ability to go and get somebody else. That is the problem.
That's what I'm saying. If you're a big team, you just say no to everybody. If Madrid come in and say we'll give you 300 million for Hazard, you just say no. Don't you? Chelsea just go no.
But I think I think if it runs, and I know people didn't like it, but if it runs a little bit longer, then you get an injury today, you can make a change, you can go and buy somebody, you can correct the squad. You look at a player.
But there comes a time when you can't.
When you can't.
Yeah, but
what happens if that happens on September the 2nd?
Well, then bring the rest of Europe through to the 9th of July, then, to the 9th of August. Yeah. We shouldn't be on a different date to anybody else. We've just made it. We've made ourselves weaker in Europe.
Dealing in England, all on the same day. You're still allowed to trade within Europe. That would have been. That's a bigger problem, it traded in Europe. I think that's something else we're talking about now. So.
The thing is, Europe, as you said, if it was just the Premier League, fine. Europe is completely different because
the rest of the world, not just Europe.
They start their league campaign. We've started it on our league campaign, the transfer deadline day, haven't we? Whereas Europe play after us, a week after, 2 weeks after. So, I agree, you can't raid into the Premier League, but Europe is completely different because they have different deadlines.
As a manager, did you enjoy the transfer window?
Well, aspects of it, because it's the time that you can get players in, and that's exciting and that's great. You're doing your business and you're improving your squad. equally somebody might come in and nick one, so you're losing it.
What's deadline day actually like for a manager? Do you get? I mean, we all imagine you're out of bed at 5 in the morning.
I've had some silly ones. I had one 2 years ago when Nottingham Forest were in for Luke Chambers, and they'd been in my ear all day, and the phone kept ringing. They kept offering me a different player to swap for him, none of which I wanted to swap for him. Chambo, to be fair to him, was coming out of contract, so he was in limbo. He wanted it because he had a new 3-year deal at Nottingham where he played before. I'm trying to spin his play, I'm spinning their play, I'm spinning everybody's plays at the minute. And I always remember Gerard Nash, a young coach who was working with me, was with me most of the day, and he said, I thought you'd have gone home for a kip, Gaffer, in the afternoons. Like, it was a match day, we were playing Derby that night. And prior to the kick-off, I was still on the phone talking to him. After the game and up until 11 o'clock before I said, look, it's not happening. So that was a frustrating one, and then last couple of deadline days I've had my feet up in bed because we've not spent
money to spend.
I wanted to ask you, Mick, has there ever been a point where you wanted to keep a player but someone above you has said, actually, no, we need to sell him without your say-so? I mean, you don't have to name names, but is that
you do have to name names.
Not even the transfer deadline day, and you played with him, Mark Kennedy. I was the Millwall manager.
Yeah.
And Spark, I'm going to embarrass him now because he was babysitting for my kids. He used to babysit for them. And I came back and had a phone call on the way home from Mr. Burr, Reg Burr, used to be the chairman. He said, Mark Kennedy, when you speak to him tomorrow, he's got to go to Liverpool.
Yeah, of course, £2 million quid.
Yeah. Well, I got to him before tomorrow morning because I was putting in the taxi going home. And I said, they've got to go to Liverpool.
But the deal had been done without you having a say-so.
I didn't want to sell him, and I said, I said, right, I want to leave. He said, he's got to go. I need the money.
And has that happened lately? Because that was a while ago. That was 20 years ago, for instance.
Because what did Jose say yesterday? Don't call them managers. Don't call us head coaches. In other words, he's sort of saying,
do you know what? It hasn't happened. No, it hasn't.
Good.
No, I haven't had that happen to me.
Would you take a management job where you had a board of directors or a chairman saying, listen, we're buying and selling players, we'll deal with that, you just coach the team and put the 11 out?
I've never had it. It's not what I would want because it's whose responsibility is it, you know? But I'm not going to say no because it sounds like an interview for a job. So all those clubs that want to do that are not going to ask me to do it, are they? So I'll consider it if anybody's listening.
What is the ambition? Back into management as soon as... I suppose it's a horrible thing where you sit there waiting for someone to lose their job almost.
Well, you know, all the managers sat here watching. Anybody who's watching, we're thinking he's interviewing himself for a job straight away, and I'm not. It's just the fact of life that I'm out of work. I don't want to be. I've been working for 26 years as a manager. My last job, I did a really good job at. There's no question about it. I have no qualms about what I say about it. Other people might have a different opinion. I want to go back into it. Yes, I do. I love doing it, and that's, I think, what I do best.
Interesting. Great insight. Thanks for the stories. Plenty more still to come. After the break, John Ruddy is in here joining us. We're going to discuss just what is life like when you're central to a team promoted to the Premier League. The first game kicks off, and you're on the subs bench. It's going to be an interesting chat. We will see you in just a couple of moments. Join in the debate. Any questions for John? Any questions for the guys? #PL tonight. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to this evening's Premier League Tonight. We're live until 9 o'clock this evening. As you can see, Martin Keown has been upgraded to John Ruddy. Nice to see you. What was the message from Nuno after the game in the dressing room?
I think pleased, really. I mean, you start the Premier League season new into the league against a very good Everton team, and you come away with a point, albeit slightly disappointed playing against 10 men. But it's a positive, it's a point on the board, and we move forward from there.
Very good. Right, we should chat more in just a moment. Just a quick bit of news for you. Craig Pawson, who was the ref today, he has said that he gave the red card for excessive force. He also said he could have given it for excessive force or denying a goal-scoring opportunity. So it's looking more and more like perhaps a 3-game ban for Jagielka, which will only add to the frustration of the Everton fans, I'm sure. Right, we're going to hear from a fan now. Just a reminder, if you're new to Premier League Tonight and you want to be one of the fans on the show, all you have to do is send in a video to us, make it about 30 seconds long, talking about football. Send it to @BT Sport Football. Use the #PL Tonight. That's exactly what Harry did, and here he is on the show. Harry, the floor is yours.
Just walking back from the game, Incredible. I don't care about how it's raining. It was a good game. It was tight. Everton provided a threat. So all in all, it was difficult. I think this season, though, that did show us we are contending with teams that have been in the top 10. So why can't we go in the top half as well? Ruben Neves controlled the game. He was running it himself. John Ruddy, thank you very much. I see you in the studio. You are integral to our promotion bid, and I respect you very much for that. But how hard was it today to watch from the bench?
It's always hard. Always hard to watch from the bench. I think, especially when you have a season like we did as a team, and on a personal night I did last year. You know, I was very much looking forward to playing in the Premier League again. It isn't to be, but I make sure I'm doing my work on the training ground, work hard, keep pushing Rui, make sure that I'm going to make him better, which will then, in the end, make the squad better as well.
Can I chip in there?
Chip away.
John, it's brutal, mate, you being sat there watching that game today. And let me say, I'm saying it for you. You were outstanding last year. You had a great season. I mean, the club did, you did. But those are the decisions that managers have to make. And there's all, you know, if he wants to play somebody else, there's nothing you can do except do exactly what you were going to do in terms of support your fellow goalkeeper. But it's a brutal decision, mate.
What is the mentality then from a manager? Because, you know, there's a decision made that changes either a player's personal life, changes their financial situation, changes their mentality. It might mean they end up leaving the club. When you make those decisions, and you would have made them similar to the one that Nuno's made, can you think about anything but what's right for the club?
You do it in the best interests of the team and of the club. You think you are doing that, and that's every time you make a decision. You think it's better. He obviously thinks it's a better decision to leave John out and put Rui in, and that is nothing else is in his mind. And you know, I don't think there's any. The manager.
I don't think there's any problem with it. It's the position of goalkeeping which is completely different to, you know, if you're a centre midfielder and he brings a centre midfielder in, you always think, well, I can play alongside this centre midfielder. You know, it's a battle and it's a competition for places. But with the goalkeeper, it's so black and white, isn't it? You know, he had a fantastic season in player in the Player of the Year category, in the team of the year. Yeah, a goalkeeper comes in and it's suddenly he's in and you're not. You know, and there's suddenly nothing you can do about it until he makes a mistake or until he gets injured, which of course you don't feel as if that you want to achieve that way of getting into the team, because it's detrimental to your side. You're weakening the side. And I think it's such an unusual position, goalkeeper, that it's completely separate and completely different than any other position on the field.
It's a tough one for you to sit here and listen to this conversation as well, by the way, isn't it? I mean, you can't really comment. You've got to sit there and listen to us. I mean, we're saying what a great season you had, but the keeper they've brought in is no mug either. You know, we know he's got a huge reputation, and you've got to exit. You'll get games. You'll get games this season, I'm sure. And
I had an open and honest conversation with the manager about my situation, and you know, we're hopeful of finding a solution for that. So I'm more than happy to as long as I'm here, to support the team in any way I can. So,
and how does that work? You know, your first day back in training, this obviously happened over the summer. I mean, first of all, I imagine you had no idea Patricio was going to come in. You were just...
No, I knew a goalkeeper would have come in.
Right.
Yeah, I think... but again, like Macca says, because it's a goalkeeper, everyone's going, right, well, he's coming into play. Whereas you look out there, we've brought, 5 new players in who have all played. So it's not... We haven't just brought a goalkeeper in and no one else. You know, it's not just me being replaced in the team, if you like. We've brought other players in different positions. You know, you look at Roman Says, who had a fantastic season last year, sat on the bench as well today. Difficult for him to take, but at the same time, we are well aware of how difficult this league is and how together we have to be, just like we were last year. You know, so we're all in it, and that's the, you know, it's appropriate we play for Wolves, because we always use the phrase the strength is in the pack, and that is no more so than what we've seen over the summer and over the pre-season that we've had as well.
And what is the most difficult part? Is it sort of being central to what was happening, you know, in the huddle out there, saving that brilliant penalty towards the end of the season and now having to watch on? Or is it when you're around the training ground and you know that you won't be starting on Saturday? What is the difficult element as a player?
I think match days, obviously. I think being in the heat of the moment, if you like. You know, like you said, in the huddle, in the preparations, in the changing room, you know, doing your warm-up, going through your motions, your pre-match preparations. But, you know, on a day-to-day basis, like I said, we've got a fantastic camaraderie between the group. And every day, like I said, I'm driving Rui on, Will's driving Rui on. You know, we've got a really good togetherness. And like I said, if that's going to help improve the squad and improve performances out there on a Saturday, then I'm all for it.
It's fascinating, this, because footballers get their fair share of criticism, whether it's through the mainstream media, whether it's social media, whether it's us sitting in a studio. But if you take someone from almost any walk of life, a banker, a postman, a chef, and you say, listen, you've done brilliant this year, you've won loads of awards,
amazing,
but
yeah.
for the next 12 months, you're not going to do it. You're just going to watch that guy because we brought him in because we think he might do a better job. 99% of people would not cope with that, would they? They just wouldn't, psychologically.
Well, they're down tools and they'd feel about not like playing, and I think anybody listening to you talk there about it, I know you're talking about it in a very calm, calculated manner, and I also know you're raging inside because you're not playing, because, I had it with Bartosz and Gerks at Ipswich, and two really good goalkeepers, and they were almost, if one got injured, the other one played, and then Bartosz Bielakowski got in and stayed in because Gerks wasn't... And I know Gerks, he wanted to play in my office, nip in my ears, he wants to play. But you can only play one. And, he's making the decision. Let me tell you, Nuno he'd have had to think long and hard about it, but he's paid for those decisions, and he'll live.
You look at how it lifted Barton as well. He was exceptional for a number of years.
Listen to what you say. Dean Gerkin was brilliant for Bart, because Bart didn't let his standards drop, because if he did, he's out of the team, and Gerks would have played.
There's a question here from Tom. Any other questions for John? Get them in. Lots of people getting involved on social media. He says that a few years ago there was interest in John from Chelsea. If he was now going to play backup at Wolves, in hindsight, would he rather have played backup for a big club like Chelsea and potentially have some silverware along the way? Let's just talk about that story. I didn't ask the question, by the way, Wolves fans. How close did a move to Chelsea get?
Close enough. Yeah, I think a fee hadn't been agreed, which was a stumbling block, but a number of bids went in, I believe.
And was this you wanting to get a move away from Norwich, or was...
No,
what was your sort of approach
This
to it?
was completely out of the blue to myself, and my approach on it and my take on it was, I said to Norwich at the time, and Chris Hughton and David McNally, who was the CEO, I was happy at Norwich. My family was happy at Norwich. I was playing week in, week out. I was 26, I think, 27. I was involved in the England squads. There was a possibility of going to the World Cup at the end of the season coming. So for me, I was in a position which I didn't really want to give up. I'd spent 5 years at Everton, a fantastic club, but I'd spent 5 years there being shipped out on loan left, right and centre. So I didn't want to go back to doing that. I'd worked hard to get in a position to be a first choice goalkeeper at Norwich, and I didn't want to give that up. And I didn't think there was any need to. Like I said, I was playing well, probably the best of my career at the time, in the England squads, and that season ended with relegation, and I didn't make the World Cup squad. So.
Yay! Yeah. Another question here from Jamie. Can you ask John what it was like coming on to make his debut for Everton against Blackburn back in 2006? Ian Turner sent off early on.
Yeah, that was very surreal. That was, I think I had hair then. That's how long ago that was.
I don't think you did.
No. Yeah, 19 I was, and Ian.
I think you had bleached blonde hair, actually, if I remember right.
No, natural blonde.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was
it? Ian was making his debut in the same game, actually, and then unfortunately for him, got sent off after 10 minutes. Came on, and we managed to do what Everton did today and be resilient, and we ground out a 1-0 result, actually. So yeah, it was really good to play at Goodison in front of the fans. Fantastic club and fantastic group of supporters as well.
It's great to have your honesty coming on here in this situation as things have sort of worked out over the summer, and to talk candidly about life when you're a player that suddenly ends up on the bench rather than in the goal. I guess what puts all of this in perspective, though, is the man that you replaced at Wolves a year ago, Kyle Hakimi. I know that despite not even being involved, he's been an absolute inspiration to all of the lads, hasn't he, over the last 12 months?
Absolutely, and we touched on it. Every interview the lads were doing last year was the same message. He's firmly within our thoughts. He's a fantastic fighter, fantastic goalkeeper. I competed against him over a number of years and always admired him as a goalkeeper and the man that he is as well. And for me to be coming into the club with those circumstances was difficult, because nobody wants to step into those shoes. It's massive gloves to fill. And like I said, it was so raw with everyone as well. I think he got diagnosed in the midweek, and I was signed by the start of the following week. So, the club had to act fast. But
how did you deal with that? I mean, did you pick up the phone, or did you go and see him? Because that's a difficult situation for him as well, actually.
Yeah, I texted him. I texted him and just said I wished him all the best and everything, and what do you say in that situation? It's a difficult one to know how to deal with. He had a lot of friends, obviously, at the club who have been with him for a number of years, who were kept in touch with him all the time. He popped in to a hotel in December when we played Birmingham away, which was great to see him. And then obviously he was in the other week as well, when the week before he announced his unfortunate retirement. So, you know, he's a fantastic figure around the club, and the supporters last year were tremendous in the way they held his memory there as well. And you know, I wish him all the very best in his future.
So do we. Loads of questions coming in for you. Let's just run through a few of them really quickly. Paul Morris says, fair play, John Ruddy. Really honest interview on BT Sport. Sounds like he might be moving on from Wolves, but he did a great job for us last year. He's a huge part of why we're in the Premier League. I'm not sure Paul's read that right. I mean, you're not thinking I'm off, are you? No. I'm up for the battle. That's what I'm. You know, I'm not here to give it up. And as good as last season was, and Mick will tell you, the Championship's a tough league. Yeah. You know, I don't really want to be playing in that for the rest of my career. So if there's an opportunity here to stay, fight, and make sure that, like I said, I'm pushing Rui all the way and biding my time, then that's what I'll be doing. And also, what's Rui Patricio won? Do you know what I mean? Liam Jones, thank you for everything, John, last season. I really hope you featured this season. 2 quick questions. Matt Stevens, what's the most influential thing a coach has ever said to you? That's putting you on the spot somewhat, isn't it?
I've had a few.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, I've had a few, actually. So,
who was the most inspiring coach?
The most, I think,
obviously you didn't work with Mick,
my first goalkeeping coach, to be fair.
Who was that?
Ali Uzunhasanoglu, the Turkish guy from Cambridge. Yeah, say that one. Yeah. He's you know, he really taught me the basics, and I came into goalkeeping quite late. I was 14 when I turned into a goalkeeper. Another failed outfield player.
Turned into one.
Yeah. It's like
failed outside.
Onto the play centre forward.
I started up front, I got further back until the goal stopped me.
The best piece of advice must have been just keep it out.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a piece of advice Paul Lambert used to say to you all the time, and when he didn't, you heard the other side of that as well. So.
I knew it was coming that.
Very good. Look, thanks ever so much for dropping in. I know that things, you know, it's not how you want it to be at the moment, but it's also crystal clear you're going to be keeping your head down, sticking around and putting a bit of heat on Rui Patricio in that number 11 shirt. All right, good man.
Cheers, pal.
Thanks for joining us, John. Plenty more still to talk about. If you want to join in the conversation, use the hashtag PL tonight. We'll be talking about opening days and reflecting after the break on a rather dramatic start to the Premier League season. Thank you, John, and we'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to my show. Nice to have you. Nice to have you with us. Use the hashtag PL tonight if you want to join in the conversation, or just tweet me at Mr. Jake Humphrey, Jake Humphrey on Instagram. The reason for that is because Mac is always saying, "Oh, it's Jake's show. It's Jake's show." That was kind of a difficult interview with John Ruddy, wasn't it? Because it's such a difficult situation for him. I thought he handled himself brilliantly. Yeah, loads of messages coming in from you about that. It's the life of a footballer, though, is it not, Mick? Those decisions happen around you and you just have to deal with them.
It is, and the three of us have all been there, but I don't know, I don't think if we got left out, we could play somewhere else. The Macca was saying. But I don't think any of us got left out when we'd been promoted or won the Champions League or won the Premier League, and then the following season you're out when you've had such a really good season as he did.
What do you do as a manager to make sure that John's on side? Do you call them in first day back and say, look...
Oh, you'd have to be in his ear straight away and just tell him, listen, these are the circumstances. Patricio is available. He's had 70-odd caps for Portugal. They've just spent 70 million on somebody who's not had a cap for Spain yet, has he? I might not have, forgive me if I'm wrong. It's an opportunity, too good an opportunity to waste. I want you to stay. You're going to have to be the backup. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
You're a brilliant goalie, and you just say all the right platitudes.
Look, you know, I want you to stay. You're under contract. I want you to stay. I don't want you to go anywhere. Be straight with him. Be honest with him, and you know, and I think he'll respect you. And
people at home will say, well, he gets well paid to sit on the bench. I don't, the mentality of that makes it no easier, does it, as a footballer, no matter what you earn when these sorts of things.
That's his job. You got to work to do your job. The training is great, but that's where you want to do it.
Last year, as Mick said, when he was amazing last year, the elation after saving penalties, helping Wolves get to 99 points in promotion. You know, that's what you live for. You live for the adrenaline of stepping over that white line and winning a game in front of this marvellous fans and then, you know, leaving. When you've won a game and played no part, you know, you're sort of on the periphery all the time. OK, you're pleased for the team and the team are doing well. But you can't swap that position here for being out on the pitch. No chance of making saves.
I mean, he's an example, isn't he? Of you just do not know what's around the corner as a professional footballer. And there's massive insecurities and uncertainties every day of your life. That's the territory. You know, people look at it and they say, well, the money the players earn, and they've had to earn it, you know. If it's a hard job, you have to love it. Otherwise, you know, you get these moments in your career when you have to question everything. But he's a good professional. He's kept his head down. You expect that, but he's still got to be the goalkeeper that follows the new keeper around the country. You know, the length and breadth of the country. Number 2, serving him before games, trying to keep him right. He has to quickly become a team player, almost overnight. When he was number 1,
I would expect him to be behind Patricio now, and then because he said about the better, stronger in the pack, and that's been the story all along that he's getting promoted until Christmas. Yeah. And then if he hasn't played and it comes to Christmas, he's too good a goalkeeper to be sat on the sidelines. And then if he came and knocked on my door, I'd understand if he said, look, Gaffer,
he might be knocking on your door in January. You might have a job. He might have a job.
No, it won't be this one. So anyway, I'd understand if he came and knocked on my door. I said, look, Gaffer, I've supported him, and if he had done, I'd have to say, well, you know what, we might have to find you a club, and I'll have to get somebody else in who is happy to see him be a number 2.
He's too good to be sat there for too long after the season he has. But it's a, as I said before, it's an incredibly unique position goalkeepers on. You have to support them, and you know, if I wasn't playing or a left winger came in and was better than me and he took my place, you could always move to the right or move to the centre or whatever. Keepers just have to support.
By your own admission, Martin, you were an intense football player. How did you deal with not being involved? Was it something that did you take it home? Did you bash around at home? What were you like on the training ground?
I couldn't probably have dealt with not being involved for too long. I must say, doors seemed to open for me. Maybe because I kept trying to knock them down. But if I was going to be in a situation where I wasn't going to play and it was a hopeless task, then I thought it would be better for me to move on. Not that I'd be a difficult person. I would get behind the manager and get behind. You know, I went.
So you could have done it, you think?
Well, I came to Everton having played.
No, I don't either. I don't think you could deal with it.
A certain amount of time while you train hard and wait for someone to make a mistake and feel like, right, I should get my opportunity now. But if you don't, you can't sit and sit.
I came to Everton thinking I was going to play. I'd been a young player breaking it into the Arsenal team, been at Villa for 3 years, played every game virtually. And then I'm told Everton wanted me, desperately wanted me. And then Colin Harvey said, you're sitting in the stand, I want you to watch Kevin Ratcliffe and Dave Watson. I said, what do I need to watch them for? Don't I need to play alongside them? No, we play a certain way, I want you to watch and learn. They said, well, hold on, I didn't come here to do that. So that was a difficult moment. And I just had to try harder. What do I need to improve upon? Wait for my opportunity. And then I got injured. Trying to get fit, had a back injury, had to have all sorts of treatment on that, but got back in, and I thought, right, okay, I'm not letting go of this once I got in. And then they played a 3 to begin with, then it went to a 4. But you find a way. I was a young player there, so it was always going to come good for me if I performed on the pitch. But the situation he's in is a difficult one. But you have to remain professional. You can have your your moment when you don't want to throw the toys out of the cot, but you want to let them know how you feel. But then you have to get on with your job.
Is that what you want as a manager, Mick?
Yeah, well, it's disrespectful to your teammates, isn't it? Because when you've been playing, if you've played for 10 or 15 games at the start of the season, and then you get left out and you throw your toys out, what about those 15 games that have gone on when all the subs and the goalkeeper sub have been supporting you? They've been travelling all over the country, getting on a coach, on a plane or a train, whatever they do, going to games, warming up, not playing, and then suddenly you're left out and you throw your toys out of the pram. You certainly don't want that as a manager. And I'll tell you what, when you put them on the subs bench, you want them to come on and make an impression. Because if anything annoys me more than that is that you've got them on the bench and they come on and they show their annoyance and how upset they are by not performing when they've come on as a substitute.
Have you had that happen?
Oh, yeah, and he's come straight back off. It was here.
You didn't hook him back off?
Oh, yeah, he scored. I put him on, and you can work out where it is, but I put him on, and he gave that to the fans and waved to them and looked at me and gave me the look of dissent. And I said to TC, get that number out. And he said, oh, I said, you know who? He said, he's just scored. I said, no, he's just scored and he's coming off and we're back in the game, but he's not doing that to me, no chance. So he came, and then when he came up to the bench, he goes, I didn't say anything. Oh, yeah, you did. Come on, Offski. So
well, they made an impression tonight, the substitutes who came on, didn't they?
Hold on a minute, don't move it away from this.
He's not going to tell you the name, he's just said the number.
What was
I'm not telling you, it was Jay Bothroyd who did it to me. Okay. Here, not a chance, OK, so that's cleared that up, all right?
Jay, what was the conversation afterwards in the dressing room?
There wasn't one.
There wasn't a great conversation. No, that was it. It was done. Why do you take me off? Because I'm not having that. I'm not having it. That's disrespectful to everybody. What about the others that go on? So it's not about one individual. It's about the whole team. It's got to be, because if it becomes about just one individual, you're just going to ruin it.
You have to have. I mean, all said and done, you have to have respect for everybody within the group.
He'd been playing before. Listen, they're always your mate to come and shake your hand when they're playing.
I always felt, I mean, I don't know about you, but I always felt that if the manager told me the day before the game that I wasn't going to play, or he named the 11, don't leave it to the last minute to name a team 1 hour before, because there's a lot of anger and animosity. And that happened a few times in my Everton career. And you think, well, I can't go anywhere with this anger now. I'd like to have known the day before. Prepare it that way. And it's...
But players now sometimes, or managers sometimes think, I'll tell them an hour before, an hour and a half before, because if I tell them the day before, you never know what they're going to do. The ones who are not going to play, can I trust them to prepare?
It's a professional world now.
Yeah, prepare right, and be ready for the game tomorrow, just in case they're called upon. You know, in case somebody's sick during the night, in case something happens during the night.
When did you?
I would tell them the day before, and I'd certainly. I wouldn't tell who was going to be on the bench. That's what I wouldn't do. So I'd tell them the team the day before or 2 days before, and if I'm leaving somebody out, I would always call them in prior to me even doing that and telling them. And so. They can have the little nip in my ears and have a snarl at me, but then I have to say, look, that's fine, you've had your piece. It's not something I like doing, but I feel it's the right thing for the team. Now I need you to support them. We've been travelling around the country with you. And then it's how he reacts then. And then I generally find, as Mac just said, you find they react better, definitely.
It's healthier that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Rather than the player holding on to that and have to talk to the manager on the Monday morning. Get it out of the way. You need him through the weekend. You still need him.
You know, you're worried about what you know he's going to be coming in on Monday morning. He's snarling all over the weekend. It's getting worse still. His mate says, I can't believe he's done that to you. His missus is saying, I can't believe he's done that to you. His mother's saying, I can't believe he's left you out and done that to you. By the time he comes in on Monday morning, he's a ball of fury. So you've sorted it out before, and it just gives you a better relationship with the players.
Over your time as manager, did this type of man management become something you had to do more and more? Have players changed in that respect, do you think?
Look, the wages that they've earned, I think, have changed and changed people, and sometimes the amount of money that they earn gives them a confidence and I think and a voice and something that I'm not so sure their experience, their ability or even their age really grants them, to be quite honest with you. I would treat them with respect, whatever they're earning, whatever they're doing. And I'd like to be consistent across the board, whether it's a 16-year-old or whether it's a 26-year-old I'm dealing with.
What I would say is that when I speak to players, and it doesn't matter whether it's in England or abroad, over the last 15, 20 years, I think they always respect and want a man-managing type of manager who can go and converse with them, who can tell them the truth, who doesn't lie or make decisions and hide in their office. I think everybody prefers that type of manager and is honest with you. And if you're not playing well, players are normally more than happy to say you're not playing well, because they normally know themselves that they're not playing well. So if the manager says, I'm dropping you today because you didn't play well last week, you know he's got a point. And I think as long as they tell you, I think players have always appreciated that and have always been able to take that little bit of criticism, because you're not going to play every single game and you're not going to play well every single game. There's times when you're going to go through sticky patches because you're not playing well, or you've got problems at home, or you've got problems elsewhere, or you're carrying an injury. But as long as you've got a relationship with the manager...
Communication, isn't it? You've got to have that. I mean, the top managers, Wenger, when he was at his peak, throughout the day, and everyone knows when the manager, by the way, talks to a player, every player knows, oh, you're talking to the gaffer, you know. But he had a very good way.
Certainly you would know.
Hold on. So, you're having another go at me.
I've just been to see the gaffer, isn't it?
So no, he's one of those where Wenger was very good, actually, in a quiet moment without anyone else knowing. And it would be one of those, hey, brilliant weekend, fantastic, you'll do for me. Same again next week. That's all you need. Nothing else.
Little pass.
Just little moments, just little words here and there.
So he sort of makes everyone feel like they're the man that matters.
Empowered.
Yeah.
You know, without you, we don't do well. Because you were brilliant last week. Make sure whatever you did, don't worry about the training. Just keep yourself right through the week.
Friday morning's the worst. Who gets the walk of shame? Just TC, go and get so-and-so out of the dressing room. It's like they're all sat waiting. The curly finger comes out. Oh, no.
Gaffer one shot.
So basically what you're saying is you used to send Terry to do your dirty work.
No one likes
well,
Terry.
let me tell you, if I walk in and do it, they know straight away, oh, no. It's like that. So if Terry goes in, it could be something else.
Love it. Oh, I could talk for ages. We're going to take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation afterwards. We'll also talk about opening day memories, and we're live till 9 o'clock. Thanks for all your thoughts, by the way. Keep them coming in using the hashtag PL Tonight. People are enjoying the honesty and the down-to-earth truths that are coming out on the show this evening. We shall discuss more after the break. See you shortly. This evening, so much conversation online as well. Just to let you know that if you're a fan of motorsport, then there has been a delay in the Scandinavian Grand Prix, but it's happening right now over on BT Sport 2 if you want to tune across for that. People are enjoying your honesty. Darren says, I'm loving the honesty of Mick McCarthy. Mick is a great listen, so down to earth. And James says, great to hear Mick's stories on Premier League tonight. Alex said, thanks, Mick, for all you did at Ipswich Town, and you're a great bloke too. I think they're referring to the fact you never managed to beat Norwich. Did that bother you or not? Like, did you buy into this whole East Anglian derby, Norwich?
Well, you mean the biggest derby in the world?
Yeah.
They kept telling me. Yeah. I think some of these lads.
Derby in East Anglia. Do you mean that one?
Yeah, the old farm derby. No, Celtic Rangers was the biggest one I ever played in, and it didn't come anywhere close. But I wanted to beat Norwich, of course I did, because I knew what it means to the fans.
Too good, weren't they?
To be, but you're obviously far too good and too clever, intelligent, and spent a lot more money than I did.
There's the truth. There it is. I knew.
Oh, and by the way, you're still in the same league, aren't you? And we finished above you last year, 12th.
Hey,
we could go on and on. Yeah.
Did
you win today, by the way? Did you win today? Sorry, let's while we're at it. Me? I'm not an Ipswich fan, mate. No, how did Barnsley get on? How did Leeds get on? Because I'm a Leeds fan, actually.
Oh, they won Leeds.
Good day for Leeds. Not such a good day for Norwich.
Bad day, mate. I'm telling you, don't pick on me live on air.
Poor old Norwich. Right, let's move on and talk about opening day experiences. You've been sharing your thoughts. Here they are.
One of my favourite opening day games of the season has got to be Everton against Newcastle 1996. Newcastle came to Goodison, having just signed Alan Shearer for £15 million, a world record fee at the time, and Everton absolutely blew them apart.
2-0 winner away at Arsenal. Reece Oxford was man of the match. 16 years old, he had Mesut Ozil in his pocket.
Absolutely wiped the floor with Palace. We beat them 3-0. Steve Mounier scored twice on his debut, and it was an absolute dream start to the perfect season.
In the second half, in front of the shed, Mario Stanic did 2 keepy-uppies and then hit a 35-yard volley into the top corner.
Sergio Aguero's debut. He came on at a young age for a striker in the Premier League, scoring 2, setting up 1. But little did we know that little Argentinian was going to go and score 201 goals for City.
For me, something special was 94-95 season for Liverpool when we went to Crystal Palace on the first day and won 6-1. And then Steve McManaman scored a couple of goals, one an absolute belter, a couple from Ian Rush, Jan Molby as well scored from the spot, and Liverpool were absolutely brilliant that day.
Oh, opening day memories. Do you remember scoring a couple on the opening day?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
What was opening day like for you all? What was opening day like for you all as manager?
To be honest,
and players?
I must admit, I remember that game because it was Selhurst Park at Crystal Palace, and it was a very difficult place to go. And because it's the first game of the season, you're always thinking, like most teams do, let's just let's not lose today. And we won 6-1, which was a big result, whether it's the first game of the season or halfway through. But it gave you a lot of hope. But I actually can't remember a lot of the first day games. It was just after pre-season, it just rolled in. You were just desperate to get started.
I do remember one that stands out because Mick was saying he's a Leeds fan, which I didn't know. I thought he was a Barnsley fan. And the very first game of the season, Neville Southall, we were losing against Leeds United, and Neville Southall wasn't in the dressing room, and he'd sat in the goal. He sat by the post and refused to come into the dressing room, just like out of protest, like, you lot are rubbish, I'm staying out here. And it was we didn't even know he wasn't in the dressing room for a good 10 minutes, and they were sort of looking around, where's the keeper? And he was just sulking.
I remember that game. How did you miss it?
Unbelievable. I wonder how you'd have dealt with that, Mick, by the way, as a manager.
I had one cry on me at half-time. He said he was crying, said he needs some help. I said, we all need some help. The man's been getting battered.
On the opening day?
Oh, no, the opening day. My best memory of opening day is, it is playing Barnsley at Ipswich, actually, one of them, when I put Grant Ward on and he goes on as the perfect, did he get a left foot, right foot and a header? He scored a hat-trick and we won 4-2. And we just signed him, so it was like a great signing. He's a good player for us.
Is it a day that you enjoyed? Because you go through pre-season, and before a ball has been kicked, as is always the case in football, anything can happen. Anyone can win the league.
Pre-season games, I've said all along I hate them because if you win them, people go, it's only pre-season anyway. If you lose them, it's everybody's,
Community Shield was the first game at Arsenal, week before. Because obviously we've been successful.
Oh, of course.
Oh, not every year, yeah.
But it wasn't the first Premier League game, was it?
No.
Mine's generally a game against the first game of the season somewhere.
It's always a relief, mate. I think it's a relief to get out of that pre-season training, all those games, and let's get it on.
Did any of you like them? The pre-season at all?
No, because they were always a different tempo. They were always different changes. It was very unlike your first game of the season, wasn't it? Once the first game of the season started, it was completely different to every game you played.
Surely that's, as a football fan, that's the time that you see your team being built. You think that your players and your manager are finding out everything they need to know about their players, their formation, their system.
It's not the same as bringing in 5, 6, 7 players like they do now to a certain extent. Teams were 15 years ago, teams were set in stone. You might bring 1 or 2 in, but you didn't bring 10 in like a lot of teams are doing now. And a lot of players were not unknown players like they are now. It was a lot more players in the UK so I always felt that the squads were a lot more settled.
The training's good for the building of the team and the shape that you want to do and how you want to play. That's great. That's 5 or 6 weeks. But the games are you just don't play at the same intensity.
OK, well, that is it. Opening day is done here at Wolves. Let's just quickly tell you all the bits and pieces coming your way on BT Sport. Next Saturday from 11:30, Saturday morning Savage, followed by live action from Scotland. Then BT Sport Score. Then it's Chelsea against Arsenal at 5 o'clock. What a cracking game we've got for you next Saturday. And then, as always, Premier League tonight from 7:45. Sadly, Mick won't be on the show. We're all disappointed about that. No, but it was lovely to have you here with us this week. You haven't done anything wrong.
I didn't realise.
You're just not booked
I'm not on either.
I know you.
I've been dropped.
Me and you have been dropped, mate. I'm not.
I know you want to get back into management. I mean, if it came available, would you even consider taking the Norwich job?
That's unfair on any manager that's in situ at the moment, so I can't even talk about that. So that's wrong on you to even ask that. It's an embarrassment.
Look how you finished the show.
It's a yes.
On the bad part, you finished the show.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Well, we may have been beaten, but you've got to take your hat off quite literally to the lads about that performance.
Come on! Full time, Bournemouth 2, Cardiff 0. Wasn't assured by any stretch of the imagination.
What a performance. Jorginho and Kante get the goals, best midfield pair in the league. Kepa keeps a clean sheet.
Nothing seems to have changed from last season with regards to Town. Certainly against the better sides, it was pretty routine, easy victory for Chelsea in the end.
It took circa 10 games last season for 2 Palace players to get on the score sheet, and we've done it on the opening day here.